list of amplifiers that people have asked us at Fender to reissue is a very long one. And we've always responded to people's requests, but we can't do them all at once. So this one, the late 50s 310-inch speaker Bandmaster, it's been on the list for a long time. Historically, one of the biggest proponents of the 310 Bandmaster is Pete Townsend. It's well known, well documented that he used these amps on the Who's Next record and a lot of other Who records. It's the sound of a tweed amp and a Gretsch guitar and a Bigsby tremolo, and it's really super cool. You know, artists tend to think of this stuff as more tools. You know, that guitar and that amp together make a certain sound that makes you go, ah, I got an idea. And that's what we love. That's why we all seek out cool guitars and cool amps and cool gear in general. Really, it's about making music. You want it to inspire a solo or a song or something like that. When we start a project like this, we study old vintage examples and multiples of them, because every amp is different. Face it, if you play 10 old Bandmasters or Twins or whatever, they're all going to be different. The main engineer on this, Sam, was pretty careful about studying all the old amps that we had in here. They were all different. They all had some parts original, some replaced. So we made decisions on that. So we really do our homework.
First thing we noticed was, especially with Mike's amp, it had sort of a little more headroom than our original design. So we did some research and found that if we increase the filter caps a little bit, the compression wasn't as bad, and it also provided us some options to allow the voltages to be more reliable with regard to, say, how the capacitors would be stressed over time. So we got less compression, plus we added reliability in that particular sense.
We studied output transformers. We worked with Mercury Magnetics, who have done an exhaustive study of vintage Fender transformers, and so that's what we've got in here.
Also, on this particular model, you can adjust the bias for the output tubes. The original did not give you this option. And I'm sure the various owners will set them to different levels. Fender, we're going to set it to 40 milliamps out the door, and you can take it higher or lower, and we imagine higher is where you're going to go.
So bottom line, if the Fender fans out in the world get out their, 60-year-old schematic and compare it to what you've done in there, they're going to find a couple of changes, but these were all thoughtfully applied based on real-world use by guys who've been gigging all their lives, that we have it set up the way we think people will like it.
Yes, well, say for example you mentioned the capacitor change. We all felt it improved the bottom end, and certainly would probably be more in sync with tastes in this century as opposed to last century. Music's a little more bass intensive than it was back in the day of the phonograph.
So the new amp isn't going to sound like any one person's amp, and some people will say, oh, I like my old one better. That's fine.
This amp was given to me by Dave Gonzalez of the Paladins years ago, and it'd been recovered and re-grilled and I think messed with it. It looks like it has the original speakers in it and all that stuff, but it's definitely been played a lot. It's still a cool amp, you know.
The thing about the amp that I love so much is the older amps, they have a sound. They already have a sound. It's not like you dial in a sound, okay? It makes a sound. And the controls just adjust that sound a little bit. You know, a little bit more highs, a little bit more lows, but it doesn't radically change anything. It always sounds the same, which is what I love about it, because it becomes an extension of you. It helps you have your own tone. You know, it's amazing. Clean and pure.
We invite you, to take an amp like this and play it hard and, get the pine all vibrated in and more resonant than when it was new and all those kind of things that are why some of us really love old amps, because they tell a story and they have unique personalities unto themselves, each one.